In the bunker tactical doodle, Nutnfancy, we're going to talk about an update to the concealed carry protocol. It will be in 2 parts. Watch both parts. We're going to separate it into political and practical. Tactical doodle. What you got?
It's weird.
It is weird.
It's weird having to revisit such a fundamental concept. The protocol, if you had jumped out of a time machine in 2010 and said, hey, a bunch of this is going to be out of date and you're going to have to change it in less than a decade, I'd be like, what? How can things change that much?
Through the years, we've been asked to do updates to the concealed carry protocol. I filmed that in 2010, to the obligation of carry, 2009. Most of those points still stand. And for that reason, I was like, well, I don't really have anything new to say. Then along came a year called 2020, when we saw the left for as it really is. They took the mask off. We see their agenda. They're open about it. And so it's changed our way of thinking, right? And that's what part of this video series is about. That will go under the political one. And then we're going to talk about practical. And I think that's what most people will be interested in. Practical, like weapon selection, holsters, how you behave when you're carrying a concealed weapon. And I think we're going to start off with that one.
Yeah.
Because if you want to watch part 2, it's going to be the political one. And there's some important changes to the Nutnfancy Project Concealed Carry Protocol, as I've called it. Right? He does it, I do it, and it's kind of groundbreaking for us, how we approach it and how we will use our weapon, if we will use our weapon. And it's because what we've seen, not just in 2020, leading up to 2020, but things have changed.
I think 2020 is the time when you get proof of concept. Because I think my system really, I kind of noticed the tide going out. In about 2014, 15, I'm like, there's a lot of really intense, like true believers who just, they're consumed by their ideology. And that's what really got me a little, and now
societal
we see
changes.
Yeah.
And how you, as a concealed carry permit holder, gun carrier in the broadest sense, you're considered the enemy?
Yep.
Okay, that will go under the political portion of the concealed carry protocol. And we're going to go deep, probably, kind of, sort of, in that part too. But in this part 1, we're going to assume that you've made the decision to carry concealed. You've done all the check marks that I talked about in concealed carry protocol. I'm going to rip through those super quick before we go through the other stuff we're going to talk about. And that you're just looking for some advice. So maybe you are a new gun owner that you just purchased. Maybe you were 12 years old when you first started watching us, by the way.
Totally happens.
There's a lot of those guys.
Happens a lot. There are a lot of guys that were saying, please just give me 4 more years to buy. 4 more years to set up and stack some ammo.
We've heard from a lot of them. Many of them are in our donation service, which we kindly ask you to be a part of. It's the reason we do work so hard for you. A link will be below. Right now we're using Patreon. So be a donor. And it's a smaller community that we can wrap our messaging around. And so we talk to those folks a lot more frequently because it's smaller. And we have heard from these 20-somethings, some of them married with children, that said, yeah, I started watching you when I was 10, 12 years old. And, I guess we influenced them somehow. We model, hopefully, a good American family that are very constitutionally oriented. Again, that's kind of going into the political stuff, but we're going to assume that you're along those lines.
What was what we
You'd
said.
Have to be, really.
Back in 08 and 09, I remember having discussions with people that said, hey, you really shouldn't be putting this out there. There's this weird OPSEC thing. And at the time, we thought it would be much better to give open source information to bring in these kids that would stumble across gun videos.
Coming off a video game.
Yeah, they'd be playing Battlefield or COD, and they're like, I want to find, look at that. It's it for real. And that would be their intro to get them in on the responsible ownership side as opposed to the, fetishizing in theory and then fearing in actuality.
Right.
And then
from fantasy gun stuff to reality gun stuff. But we've said it before, those video games, which your generation and the Zoomers have been raised up on, have actually done a lot of good work.
A ton.
Because they have opened up young people's minds combating the brainwashing going on in the schools and in a lot of sectors of society, media, movies, television shows, and it opened up their minds to gun ownership. And many of them right now are carrying. Maybe you're one of those guys or gals, and you just want some advice, and maybe you haven't seen every Nutnfancy video made. There's a lot of advice in the videos.
Well, 1,500 or so?
It's more than that. It's more like 2,000. Yeah, I work hard for you guys, for sure. And weaving through those videos, year by year, hopefully decade by decade, is a consistent message. A consistent message about SAWC, size and weight constraints, firepower versus mobility, and a lot of other philosophies as I approach it from a systems perspective. And that's all I do. I talk about systems. So what we're going to talk about now is a what system?
Or carry system.
Carry system. Concealed carry system. Now, there are several videos you should look at perhaps to tie into the philosophy. There's that consistency again with this video. One would be probably my EDC update posted a few months ago, maybe more than 6 months at this point, and that is low probability for armed conflict. That's LPAC, that's the acronym, and then high probability for conflict, HPAC. So in that video, I go into the nuts and bolts of such a system. Here comes a HPAC system right here. I think that's a Glock 2240 in there, correct?
Yeah.
And there's some fun stuff going on there. So if you're a gear nerd like we are, go there, enjoy. This is an HPAC system ready to rock and roll in the Nutnfancy clan. It's a grab-and-go system, plenty of firepower. So it's going to be set up for both AR-15. So these are 3 AR-15 mags. I got a Glock 22. We've got... how many mags in there? Probably 4 at least. We've got a tactical folder. We've got a flashlight, all that good stuff.
Zip ties.
Yeah. So this, by the way, what you just saw is not really an EDC system. It's a home defense system.
Yeah.
And when we also did a series of videos on active shooter response, and this was put together for that. But right now we're employing it in a grab and go system in our household. So if the shit hits the fan, boom. That's just one system. We will answer the call. So you are a constitutionally minded individual, male or female. You want some advice on, what gun to carry, what holster system to carry, how to approach it, and all the other things, all the systems questions you may have as you embark on this journey. Let us say also that this is just from our perspective. We're not going to stand in the bunker here and act like we know everything there is to know about concealed carry. We're not going to say that your system is wrong, our system is right. There's just different approaches. There's different body styles. Some guys are really skinny. Some guys are really fat. Some guys are stocky. Some guys can hide a shoulder holster. Some can't. And we've talked about that through the years. It's just our approach. It's how we do it. It's genuine. We don't manufacture anything for our audience just to be cool. Is that true?
Yeah.
We don't care. We don't care. Basically, TNP is how we do things as a family. That's all it is. And I'm not going to say we don't learn from these guys, though.
Yeah.
There's times when you'll drop a comment, you open our eyes to a new system, a new product that we've missed, and it does happen a lot probably. And we go check it out, and lo and behold, it's something awesome. Or a new way of doing stuff. So I'm not going to say we've arrived in our carry system. It's always kind of evolving with what works. And like Tactical Doodle mentioned, societal changes. That's a big thing. So we see some dangerous developments in society. And so I think a lot of us are changing our carry system, a concealed carry system, and we're kind of morphing over to that high probability for armed conflict because of the VPAs. Now, that's a new acronym. We're going to mention it in the political side. We need to mention it here, and that stands for violent party actors. These are individuals that are supported by whatever you want to call it, the swamp, the zeitgeist, the media, the corporations, the globalists. These are the individuals you've seen in 2020 just basically ripping the shit out of the United States of America and being supported in it, burning things down, attacking people, killing people. And because they're of the leftist mindset, they get a pass.
Yeah, they're funded, their defense is funded, they don't have to stay in jail, their bail is paid.
Yep. Money rolls in to set them free. And that's happened. This isn't like debatable. This isn't some conspiracy stuff. This has actually happened. So with the VPAs out there, it might change your approach. And you might have seen this kind of stuff going on, and that's why you're here at this video. Because you're like, okay, enough is enough. Maybe you were on the fence. You were like, I'm not too sure if I want to own a gun. I'm not too sure if I want to go down that road. And now you're saying, I need a gun. There's a lot of people we know about that, right? That have been doing just that. Now, I said I was going to breeze through what I talked about in 2010, and I'm going to do that. Because there's some really key concepts that we do still believe in, but I don't know if I necessarily want to eat up a bunch of video time now. And I'm going to call it 2021. We're close enough to that, so there's going to be Concealed Carry Protocol 2021. I don't know if I want to eat up a bunch of video time saying exactly the same stuff. But what I talked about then was it's not legal advice. This isn't legal advice. It's our opinion. Do you even need a gun? Have you made that decision? I referenced my video, Close to Engage. You got to watch that one. I talked about the DoD no gun policy, free fire zones, when it's illegal. I mentioned Virginia Tech because that had just happened at the time, and we seemed to have a rash of mass shootings at that time. And so my concealed carry protocol, when I filmed it in 2010, reflected that.
Yeah.
So a lot of that merged. So like we said, we're always kind of morphing our carry system and our approach to our weapon carry with what is happening in society. That was happening then. Right now we've got VPA activity. We've got communism surging. That's our opinion about that, by the way. This thing right here. Yeah. No apologies. So society's changed. And again, we want to put most of that in part 2. In the political portion. We also talked about de-escalating, that it's okay to be a wuss. We'll hit that again. It's a last resort. You have unlock codes when to use lethal force. We talked about non-lethal alternatives. We talked about being polite and trying to de-escalate a conflict if at all possible. I talked about my force continuum. I filmed that in 2008, I think, talking about non-lethal to lethal and the unlock codes. Carry deep and carry with high percentage. That's a part of that video. How you interact with law enforcement. Be professional, low key. Let law enforcement do their job. If there's an active shooter situation, get out of the freaking way. We talked about you want to adhere to the reasonable man concept. So would a jury consider what you do in a certain situation implementing a lethal force weapon reasonable? They'll use, at least back then, a reasonable man concept. I think now we're kind of away from that. Again, that'll go into politics, but I think you'll be considered a freak, mostly. You'll be considered the enemy for having used your gun. With what's going on right now, the upside down are right. So even if you're justified, even if you've done everything correct with what's going on in our society, because they are pushing a certain agenda. Again, that's part 2. We'll talk about it. Be careful because you're on your own. You're going to be the enemy. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I wouldn't have that much faith in the court system.
Correct.
I find guys are a little too optimistic about it. They're like, yeah, but if it's self-defense, I'm good.
You're not.
They're going to cut it down, each little part. The guy took a step back. He was retreating. Now you're in the wrong. It's small stuff like that in the moment you don't notice, but burn you.
Exactly. Again, part 2, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Can you make the shot? I mentioned that in that video. We'll talk about it here. That falls under practical. That'll be kind of fun talking about de-escalation, talking about politically active advocacy. Do you run or fight? The mandate of proficiency, and then are you ready for the blood aspect of actually implementing your weapon or using it? I talked about all that in the 2010 video. Go watch it. Still applies. There are some changes. One thing I didn't do in that video, I think obligation of carry, I didn't do it too much, and that is the fun part of what we're doing now. Weapon selection, holster selection, and some other stuff. So we're going to get to that right now. This is part 1, the practical side of the concealed carry protocol update in the Nutnfancy project. By the way, we got some cool crap in the background. Step aside so you can see that background. Look at that. We got Red Sonja back there fighting the dragon. We've got an in-package scorpion alien, dudes. We've had that for the kids for how long, TD? 15, 20 years?
Maybe even longer.
I would say late 90s we've had that in package. We've got an Imperial Cruiser. Don't know if you can see that. Su-27 aircraft carrier, really cool, 150th scale Corey dump truck. This is a Palmetto PSAC 47 and Nutmeg, and then we got a SIG MCX and some other stuff. M1A in the background. There you go. That's stuff you can look at if you get bored. You can get bored, and
letting him check it out.
Happens.
I like the Star Destroyer. You can hardly see. That's why.
Yeah, show it to him.
It's really cool.
That's a cool stand you got for that, by the way.
Isn't that cool?
That is really cool.
Yeah.
And that did not come with it. And the batteries ain't working in that, are they? Or are they?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah. Back when Star Wars used to be cool.
That's cool.
So cool. Oh, I like that one. We just put the batteries in that one. Oh, it was a Klingon ship that was busted.
Yeah.
Okay, so we try to have a good time in TNP. Look at the tabletops. We got all kinds of silly little props. And we actually have some really cool props. We talk about machinery, tanks, aircraft, apparently some construction equipment too. But here we got to get a little more serious and we got to stay focused. I imagine this will be like 45 minutes, maybe longer.
Probably more.
Yeah, that's right, because we do have a lot to carry. Cover and carry, I guess. Practical, number 1. Are you ready for it? Are you ready to go out the door armed? Now, this is something that needs to be considered seriously. You need to make the decision for yourself. It's a big responsibility. Again, I've put a lot of video down already talking to that. I don't want to spend too much time here on it, but it's everything I've said. That portion has not changed. Maybe you aren't, and it's okay to not carry a gun. Even with everything that's going on, all the craziness, all the anti-conservative stuff going on, the hunting of conservatives right now as we film this, they're compiling lists of Trump supporters and the promise that they can do harm to you in one way or another.
No, you're only supposed to confront them. They say all the people who enabled fascism and supported this tyranny need to answer. And we need to keep them out of polite society, positions of influence, power, and the workplace. But they have their little but don't do anything violent. Right. This is for non-violent, just verbal confrontations.
That would be step 1. So again, we're kind of bleeding over, but it's important to this one because even despite all that, think about whether you want to carry a gun and think about whether you can actually employ it. When we talk about employing a weapon, you're talking about basically killing another human being, aren't you? That they have threatened your life, they threaten the lives of your loved ones, or for whatever reason, lethal force has become necessary. Are you ready for it? Are you ready to accept the responsibility, the protection of your gun, to make sure it doesn't drop on a bathroom floor, to make sure it's not abandoned somewhere, which has happened through the years a lot? Go ahead.
Did you see that one the other day? It was a little dust up, people shoving each other, and they picked some guy. He had his gun in his waistband. They got him, beat him up a little bit. It fell out of his waistband. He went looking for it, and it was stolen by the crowd.
There you go. Was it a leftist
Where's
crowd?
my gun? Oh, who knows?
Good. Okay, think about this a little bit, and if it's not right for you, it's not right for you. And you husbands or you boyfriends who have girlfriends or wives, don't force them into carrying if they're not ready for it, because they may not be. What I try to do when I have people understand this decision is put them in a realistic situation and ask them what if. So if your children are attacked, if someone comes into your home and they try to kill your children, would you want a weapon? I could draw all sorts of creative examples to drive home that point, but you get it. Generally, most reasonable people, good people, will say, absolutely, I'd want to defend my children. If that's the answer, then you're probably ready to be a concealed carry permit holder. If you say, no, I'm an ultimate pacifist, no matter what, I will never fight back, I never want to hurt another human being, I don't care how evil the person is, then don't carry. Also, a flip side to this, are you carrying for first cool or second cool? By that I mean, and what standing next to me is a second cool carry guy once upon a year. If you go back into the videos 8 years ago, 6 years ago, this guy, Tactical Doodle, my son, he carried mostly for second cool. Is that right?
Lots of detective specials, SP-101, TR-8, revolvers, fun stuff.
It was an EDC
interesting
decision.
stuff.
So it's like putting on a watch, which, by the way, will be the Bowman chronograph. Thank you. Yeah, by AV8. What do you got on?
G-Shock and
GA100.
Supacamo.
That's cool. Hands modded, both of them. Yeah, it's like strapping on a watch. So he's like, oh, what gun do I take out today? Is he expecting to use it? No.
I was always clear about that. It was
You
a
were.
forecast
On
a
video.
gunfight going above like
Right.
0.06%.
Right.
We start changing our carry system.
My shots right here.
That's what we referenced. Now, for him, and there might be a lot of people like him, strapping on a gun, second cool. And by second cool, I mean it's just fun. And if you've been watching the project, you know my lingo, my acronyms, my vocabulary. That means it's just fun to you. You like it. First cool means practicality, usefulness in a certain philosophy of use. He's gone from second cool to first cool. So are you strapping on a 5-shot 38 special anymore? I mean, as your primary gun.
No, it's tertiary now. It's
Look at
been
that. Did you
relegated
catch that?
to third line.
Did you catch that? That means he's got 2 other guns in front of it. Are you being serious?
Yeah.
You're carrying with 3 guns.
Yeah.
We're going to get to backup
Revolver
guns. That's a
rides
separate
in the
point.
console,
Interesting.
and it's easy enough to grab in case, and you don't have to worry about slide maneuverability. So
Right.
if you're stuck or getting yanked out of your car, so it's just pop,
Perfect.
yank.
I think most of you guys and gals watching this video have determined you're not carrying to strap on something fun for the day, knife to the pocket. You're carrying to defend your life. This is something you feel the need to do. So that is a first cool carry. So if that's the case, you need to look closely at your area, closely at the scenarios that may develop in your area, your state, your city, your rural area, and tailor your weapons to that. Don't you agree? That's what we're talking about right here, the practical side. And that's what we've done in our situation. That's what my EDC update, LPAC and HPAC, attempted to address. Now, when I came out with that series of videos, I did HPAC, high probability for armed conflict. And if you're new to the project, sorry if I'm confusing you, under rule of law. So that means we have rule of law. It's not helter-skelter. Every man for himself. It's not, just crazy, no government, no emergency services. No, we have that. But there's a high probability for armed conflict. When I did that, I was criticized by some people. They're like, oh, dude, how in the hell would this ever happen? Here comes, March, April, May, June of 2020. Suddenly their eyes are open. They're like, holy cow. What happened in Minneapolis, Portland, lots of other cities. They're like, well, I can kind of see that I'm in rule of law, but I may need some more firepower. And that's what I was addressing then. One of the situations. So again, you might want to watch that.
Seems impossible till it happens.
It does.
I read an interesting one. I think the FBI compiled it a while back. It's a little dated now, but it talked about the descent and how quickly it would happen from normal everyday life
Amen.
to insanity and lawlessness. And
Yeah.
it goes faster than you think when
Yep.
you get rid of electricity and food. What's that thing? 5 meals away from anarchy?
That's a great way to put it. A lot of what we've done here in the project is exactly addressing that. I mean, ever since I began it, I began TNP, at least the video posting, when Obama was elected. And things looked pretty grim then, and I think he was a horrible president. No regrets at all what I said about Obama. He set the stage for everything that happened. He absolutely did. But without rule of law was a key and is a key overriding philosophy here in the Nutnfancy project, and how to prepare for it mentally and temporally. With your stuff. Okay, make the decision. Understand if you're doing it for first, second cool. If you're doing it for second cool just for enjoyment, you can carry anything. You can go cuckoo. You can carry like one of those North American Derringers in your hat because you're not really going to use it. You're just carrying it for fun. I don't think anyone's at that point that's going to be watching this video. They're carrying it because they're worried about their life. Number 2, avoidance. So you've decided to go armed. I still say, and this falls in line with previous philosophy videos, avoid if you can. In other words, let's say there are some VPAs doing their stuff in some area of your town. I'm going to avoid that. There's really no reason right now that I would go down there and try to change their mind. Is that going to happen? Am I going to somehow change their mind? No. If they find out I'm a constitutional conservative, do you think they'd attack me? Probably. Why go down there, though? Avoid, avoid, avoid. And that's not just for VPAs and the crazy stuff we see now, but it's anything. If I can avoid having to use my weapon, even though I have a weapon, holy cow, dudes, I don't want to use it. The best concealed carry gun is one that you don't use. You strap it on every day. It's ready, but it doesn't mean you use it. There's a Glock 17, with a Balder, Olight Balder on it, and a Kydex holster. So it's kind of a more higher firepower option. We'll revisit that here in a second. What do you think about that? Avoid?
I said that before when we've talked about it, and not everyone agreed. I always said, even in pretty much everything.
Don't jump ahead, though, because we're going to hit
free.
that other stuff. In political, we're going to talk about active shooter. I know that's where you want to go. And tune into part 2. We have that discussion there. Not here. We're trying to zone in on the gear, but it's hard. Avoid if you can. Of course, this isn't just gear. This is how you purport yourself as a concealed carry permit holder. Also, you might want to consider less than lethal options. That is referencing back to my continuum of force discussion, 2008, 2009, 2010. We're not going to cover it here, but it could include pepper spray. It could include impact weapons like an ASP police baton, train with it. It could include some type of shocking device, stun gun. It could include a stick, a Kubaton, any of those items so you don't, a paintball gun, any of those items that you wouldn't have to kill someone. You're just trying to stop an incident. Consider that. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, anything to make your presence unpleasant enough that they want to leave it.
And by the way, if possible, I would take that approach even in without rule of law. Think about that. So guys think that without rule of law, anything goes. Okay, now we're going to get it on. Now the boog is on. We're going for it. That's not how I approach it. That's not how he approaches it. We don't want to take human life. Okay, we want to avoid that. We want to avoid violence. Okay, the best lover of peace is the soldier. The ones that knows history and what happens. That's what my whole start of the project was about. Don't hasten the day. Go watch that video, and then I redid it. Don't hasten the day. Enjoy rule of law, protect it, and don't seek violence. That being said, maybe there's some way we can prevent having to use our gun.
She jumped like a...
That's a key message of TNP. We don't want violence.
She hates this thing, by the way. It scares the living crap out of her.
We want to be left alone.
I keep tape on the side so I remind myself when I charged it. And it is a rechargeable, less than lethal defense
But if you do,
option.
if I can, maybe
the Vipertech stun gun.
That means more SAWC. That means more complexity in your carry system. It's real easy to talk theoretically about such a system, but the practicality of integrating all that stuff with everything else you carry in the day, phone, multi-tool, knives, business things, gun, extra magazines, it's a lot. But I'm going to throw it out there because it's worth consideration. Do you do that in your system?
Yeah.
What do you use? Less than lethal?
Titman 98. No.
You're lying.
Taser, contact, little stun baton thing.
Speaking of Titman.
And spray.
Titman A5.
Just cheesy
Keep
OC.
watching. What's that?
Just cheesy spray.
Well, that's not cheesy. Beware your wind direction when you use it. Okay, press on. Number 3, concealed versus open carry. You concealed carry permit holder. Now, the whole title of the video is a concealed carry protocol. Why would I mention this? Because I made a video specifically on this. And some guys or gals in the comments maybe go, well, I don't feel the need to carry concealed with what's going on. I want my weapon readily available. Then I would go watch my video posted before this one called Open Carry Hell Yeah. And that was posted at the height of the riots by the VPAs, right? I don't want to put it in here because it's going to add 20 minutes to redo that conversation. But it's something to consider. I mentioned that video. I'll mention this portion here. Carrying concealed has the advantage of surprise. Okay, and if they know you have a weapon, they can plan strategically of how to take you out. And they don't have to have a gun to do it. They can come up from behind. Go watch my retention video posted with Officer Jared. He shows weapon retention techniques in the holster. Either it's a shoulder holster or inside the waistband. Interesting stuff, though. When we carry, how do we do it? Are you running around openly carrying?
I don't think I plan on ever doing it unless I have other people backing me up.
Okay, that's valid. I carry concealed, I wouldn't say all the time. I'm probably 80-20. Yeah, that's right. I'm still 20% open carry. But it's in a situation where people aren't around me. So I'm on like a bicycle, so I'm not easily accessible. I'm not in a crowd. I would never open carry in rule of law in a crowd. Heck, and without rule of law, without backup players, I don't know. Now, what I've said in past philosophy videos is if the threat of violence escalates in a without rule of law situation, so it goes from here to here to here to here, I, and probably you, are going to open carry. We want our weapon more accessible. We want to show force. We want to make a message. But like he mentioned, we're going to have other players with us backing us up. We're going to have a team. It's not just us, John Wayne in it out there all alone. You're going to get owned if you do that. You need a team. You're going to have to mix of weapons. But like, let's say all hell breaks loose. Your neighborhood, someone in your neighborhood hopefully thinks like you do. You've talked to them about this, and you guys are going to have a neighborhood patrol. And are you going to be concealed carrying in that situation? I wouldn't, because you need a show of force. But we're not there yet, and I hope we don't get there. We're in rule of law, so what do we do? Conceal carry. Surprise should be on your side. Moving along. Number 4, behavior. How do you behave when you carry your gun? Are you looking for trouble, Tactical Doodle?
Zero ego.
Ooh,
formless, avoidant.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing can offend you. You can't take anything personally.
Yep.
It's just, oh, shucks. Sorry, have a nice day.
You're almost a wuss. And
yeah.
We mentioned this in the concealed carry protocol posted in 2010, a decade ago. Nothing's changed with that. Now, with what's going on with this evolvement of society and the aggressive nature of the left, maybe that does change. We're not asking you to not defend yourself. We're not advocating that you're a complete pussy. What we're saying, though, is when you carry concealed in a normal, everyday, rule of law society where we have operational police forces, we have operational courts, defuse, run away. Avoid. Be a wuss. Don't be afraid to walk away, because the alternative is you having all sorts of legal bills, charges placed against you. And there's been a lot of people that have made that decision and they've regretted it. Yeah. And they go, you know what? I wish I would have just walked away. I don't care if I seem like a coward. Am I right?
Yeah. But I was right. It was my parking spot. It was. And that's, you see the road rage stuff all the time. People follow them home. Next thing you know, it's just easier. You can solve all that with
and that's an actual incident that happened.
Just leave. Pussy. Yeah, cool. I'm not going to spend the next 6 years of my life in court.
Call the names you want to call it to me, dude. It doesn't matter. I avoided court costs. I avoided time out of things that I want to do. I avoided charges. Think of it in that term if you're carrying concealed. You may be a really aggressive personality, and you may like to brush shoulders with guys and stand up to them. If you're carrying concealed, don't be that way anymore. Or don't carry. Go ahead and get in your fist fights, but don't carry a gun when you do it. 1, it could get taken from you.
Yeah.
2, you may be if you have that kind of impulsive personality, I hope you don't, but there have been people like that. They're like, well, I got a gun. I'm going to use a gun. No.
Yeah, I see that problem with exes a lot. They seem to think they can just immediately pull out the gun and start ordering people around like it's a universal remote.
Really? That's not good. And that speaks a lot to the personality. In my opinion, that's all it is. It's an opinion, but you're tuned into this video to watch opinion. I think people who have a propensity to abuse power may make it worse if they have a gun. And that's the kind of individual you're talking about.
You learn a lot about people.
Yeah, they're like, well, I got a gun. I can control everybody around me. Well, you shouldn't be carrying a gun. And you're the guy that gives us a bad name. Because the CPF, the Communist Party feeds, mainstream media, I call them CPF, they'll grab a hold of that one situation and they'll paint the rest of us with it, as they have done through the decades. They'll go, well, all you guys are like this guy. No, we're not. No, we're not. He's a psycho, man.
It's leftist projection.
Right.
They see themselves and everyone else because they can't leave their own heads.
They have a political agenda we'll talk about in part 2. You guys know what it is. It's not going to be groundbreaking. But your behavior when you carry concealed should be aware. You're watching what's going around you. You're not paranoid. but you're just kind of watching, and polite and professional. In your interaction with law enforcement, polite and professional. If in your state you have to acknowledge the fact you're carrying a weapon, acknowledge the fact you're carrying a weapon. Hi, officer. Sorry, I was doing a little bit, I was going a little bit fast there. I'm carrying a P365. For your information, I'm a licensed carrier. In rule of law, that's how we're going to do it. If things change and get worse and the Constitution is destroyed, maybe we approach it differently. But right now, as I film this, that's how it goes. Professional, low-key. Don't brandish your gun. If you're carrying concealed, conceal it. Don't walk around and showing your gun like, hey man, check how cool I am. I got my Glock right here. I'm a badass. Don't do that. Carry it concealed. Go deep. It's holster systems, which we'll talk about in this portion, are going to be key to that. Behavior. Don't play show and tell. You can always tell a professional concealed carry permit holder because they don't play show and tell. Unless they're with really good, trained professional friends. Like if I was with Sean the TNPer and he goes, hey, what are you carrying today? I'd show him. But with a normal person, hey man, or you're just bragging about the fact that you have a gun. First off, you're ruining one of your key elements of carrying concealed, and that's surprise. Because that person can tell someone else, and that other person he tells could be the bad guy. Now where's your level of surprise? Next, gun choice. Ooh, they're going to like this one. Gun choice. And how much ammo do you carry? TD, tell them what you're carrying now. And tell them why, what you're thinking, what's your levels, what holster are you carrying in. And he's in from Arizona, so he doesn't have all his stuff. But he'll just kind of go over what he's got. And we want to hear your thinking on it. There you go.
511 shorts, and I actually use these for a mag pouch.
Awesome.
Because down below you have enough space.
Okay, turn it to the camera. So
right side normally has my wallet in it, so I have mag number 1 for the Glock 26. And then left side, mag number 2.
Is it in the inner pockets?
Yeah.
So it's not floating around.
Pockets.
So you know right where it is and it doesn't migrate.
Yeah.
Holy crap, dude! You got 3 extra mags.
Yeah. Down low,
I didn't know he's carrying.
And I have them oriented, because there are 2 separate pouches. I think they take Stanag, theoretically. They're a little tight for that. But that way I practiced loading and dry firing enough. You go
We're going to get to that, too.
Pull it, in, and mag 1.
There's his knife, by the way. Paramilitary and tuxedo. You coded this one, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, in case you're wondering. I didn't know you carried that many mags.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously you're carrying a Glock 26, right?
Yeah.
Anything in your pants you want to show them? So to speak. Why do you carry that level of ammunition? I already know the answer, but tell them, and I think you've already said it in this segment, but go ahead.
For my on-body ammo, that's all I can guarantee having. So whatever comes, I just feel better. I feel better knowing I have a couple extra reloads. I've seen how gunfights go. People, how many rounds did you shoot? I don't know, 3, 4. You shot 17. Like, oh, well, it goes fast.
In a normal encounter, I think it's like 2 or 3 shots are fired. In normal rule of law, concealed carry permit confrontations. But again, we're going into uncharted waters. This is a message of this series. This isn't, you can't judge by what's going on now by what's happened in the past. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
And that's why we're morphing our approach to concealed carry. There's this holster.
I can't guarantee a single attacker.
Show the holster first before you take it out.
I don't think this holster's anything special.
It's just a plastic holster.
That generic plastic thing. Honestly, I want something with better retention now. I'd like something in the waistband with a thumb lock. That way I can make sure it doesn't come out.
I say you get a Kuziak leather one, by the way. That one's awesome. This is a Glock 19 and a Kuziak leather.
I don't do leather because in the heat,
I
tend to soak them with sweat, and then it smells like assholes.
It smells like what?
Assholes. There you go.
Anywho, moving right along. So you got a Glock 26. Show him, you coded that one, right? Yeah. That's a second cool thing. He put, that's Cerakote, correct?
Yeah.
Patriot Brown.
Yep.
Cerakote on it. And look how much wear he's got on that gun. It's awesome. Okay, so what I was looking for you to say, and you already said it earlier in the video, is you feel like you need that level of rounds, obviously.
Yeah.
Are you carrying a total of 4 mags for your Glock 26 just to be cool?
No,
You feel like you need it. It's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But he said it. Did you know what he said? He goes, I feel better, and it gives me peace of mind. So the answer on, first off, how many rounds do you carry? As many as you think you need in your situation with what's changed.
Whatever gives you comfort.
Whatever gives you comfort. Now for me, daily, I'm bouncing between a P365. Here it is in a Kuziak leather. Yes, I'm carrying inside the waistband, and I do strap my fanny pack around it. Finally, Nutnfancy. I'm doing that more. I still do shoulder holster. P365 is a frequent carry partner. Okay, great gun. The top-selling subcompact 9mm in the entire country. It's been that way for a long time. I don't see it changing anytime soon. So I'm carrying that, and then I carry a P365 XL magazine in roll of law. So this is my carry with where I'm at. Now, TD lives down in Arizona. He goes some pretty rough areas, or at least passes through them, so his situation is a little bit different. But generally, for me, this is what I'm carrying. And by the way, this is a Kuziak leather carrier right here. Awesome. I'm happy with that. Things changed, though. During the riots, I upgunned. Okay, so when the VPAs are doing what they were doing and they're threatening to come into the suburbs and go out into the countryside and burn down missile silos that we live in, I was like, okay, time to upgun. Then I'm carrying a Glock 19, either in a shoulder holster or in inside the waistband. Sometimes outside the waistband, like I showed you here. Or sometimes I upgun to a Glock 17 or a Glock 20 10mm. I would open carry in the middle of the riots, dude. I'm running my dog. I had my Glock 20 on a shoulder holster. In that case, I got 3 mags total, but I'm not that far from my house, a resupply point. That amount of rounds can answer a lot of problems, especially in 10mm. Heck, in Glock 17. But if I have that situation, then I'm going to upgun. So, by the way, this is a great Kydex rig, and we're going to put some links to our favorite stuff below, if we can find them. I'm trying to see the brand of this. I don't know if the brand. I think I bought this one on Amazon, but it's fantastically made. It's 080 Kydex. It's very positive. Check this out. But this isn't really designed as a concealed carry rig. This is an open carry. So this is an outside the waistband carry. I got no thumb strap. It has no security. That's another thing you got to answer. You said, hey, I would prefer to have a thumb strap. That's something you need to decide. Generally, most inside the waistband carry systems, here's a Glock 43 holster, and it's a Fierce Defender, I think, doesn't have a thumb strap. There's no retention. So your defense to keep your weapon is being aware, keeping people away from you, and some very aggressive, even violent retention techniques if someone tries to get your gun. Because if they're trying to get your gun, they're probably trying to kill you. We talked about that with Officer Jared. I mean, you don't mess around. Gun choice, holster choice. Now, going back to, are you ready for it to carry? You've made the decision to carry. One of the key concepts of the concealed carry protocol here in the Nutnfancy project is carry with high percentage. Tactical doodle. When you go out, and do not lie, what percentage are you carrying a gun that is adequate for your self-defense needs? What percentage?
It depends on adequate, but 100% of the time. If I leave the front door to go out to get mail in the mailbox, I have at least a 380 pocket pistol.
Show them that, by the way. There's an LCP2 380. That is our number one choice for an automatic 380 pistol. It's near perfection. That one is a Davidson Special in Flat Desert Earth. Carry with high percentage. Now, high percentage, don't confuse this. Doesn't mean that you have to go outside strapped with your Glock 17 with an Olight Balder Pro weapon light. It just means, like I mentioned, that you have a gun that's adequate for what you anticipate. And maybe what you anticipate isn't going to happen, but you're trying. You just do what you can do. I carry 100% of the time. I'll have something. Generally, I don't go with a 380 unless I am doing what he's doing, like I'm jumping out to mailbox, I'm wearing some workout shorts or something. Then I will. Almost always it's going to be a subcompact 9mm. Very frequently, it'll be a Glock 43. And very frequently, its holster, here it is. It will be in this Galco Classic Light holster with an extra magazine. To me, this is like my personal minimum carry. And a 9mm with current loads, I'm either rocking a 115 hollow point standard pressure or plus P or 124 grain standard pressure or plus P, and I'm comfortable with that. But if you're not going to carry high percentage, if you don't carry even to 50%, I've always said in the project, why even carry? The thing you want to achieve with your holster selection, with your weapon selection, is the big C word. Comfort. You want to be comfortable. You know it's comfortable when you get back to the house, like I do with this system, and it's inside the waistband. I'm like, oh, I still got my gun on. If you're constantly thinking about it and it's digging into your backside, your kidneys, it's not comfortable. Then you stop carrying it, and you've kind of defeated your whole decision process, the money you've spent on your rigs, your guns, your holsters, training. Why go through all that trouble? It goes back to question 1. Are you ready for it? If you're not going to carry high percentage, I was like, I can't tell you how many TNPers we've gear checked and how many don't have their gun.
I'm close to the house. Nothing will happen. As if you likely don't have a public street running through your front yard.
True. It got to the point, I'm even in like gunnies, I'd run into TNPers, and you guys know the rule. If you go, hey, Nutnfancy, I love your show, I'm like, cool, gear check. That's what's coming. It got the last 5 people, TNPers, that have said that to me would have gotten an F on a gear check. And I didn't even film it because it was just embarrassing to them personally. I was like, hey, what gun you carrying? Well, I just bounced out of the house for a minute.
I normally carry my 1911. It's a full TRP forged.
Yeah, here
it's
comes
awesome.
the
I love
shit.
it. Where is it?
I'd rather see them with this LCP 380 than what they have, and that is absolutely nothing. So carry this. Or a 25 auto, or that North American Derringer, the Stinger in 22 Magnum. At least you got something. But one of the key concepts here is be prepared and have a comfortable system, a system that works for you. In gun selection. Now, if you're a female, choose a gun that works for you. My wife frequently carries a Glock 43, this one right here. This has a grip wrapped around it, okay? You might choose a Glock 42. She often carries this. She likes this because it's smaller and lighter, and generally, girls like smaller and lighter guns. If they're putting in the purse, they don't want to put a dang Glock 19 in their purse and having it banging around like a weight set.
Because their purposes are almost universally terrible for carrying anything. They
have
zero rigidity. They're super floppy. Zero internal
almost
organization.
Always in the purse.
It's like using a garbage sack and then just slinging it on your...
Now, and if you're a gal and you carry on body, this is what we're saying to you. Thumbs up. That's how you should do it. Because it's more secure, it's more accessible if it's on your person. Shoulder carry, waistband carry, behind the back, small of the back, appendix carry, which is right here, awesome. Fanny pack carry, good. It's still on your person. I way advocate that over a purse carry. Purse is going to be slow.
I hate purse carry.
You can drop your purse. Your gun can go skittering across the target floor.
It's always disorganized, so if you do need it, it's, you hold on there, Buster Brown, just let me...
But
coupons,
let's be honest,
lipstick.
It's mostly purse carry.
I know.
And there are dedicated purses that have a gun pocket in them. Maybe we put some links below. And that's different. So it's still not on your person, but as long as she has it right here and she can get to it quick and she trains with it, okay. Okay, that's cool. But let's go back to you, though, the dude. Same thing applies to you. I've done gear checks before, and the guy goes, well, I got my gun, but it's in my go bag. Like, where's your go bag? In my Jeep. Okay. The only way you're going to pass a gear check is if you say it's in my go bag, and guess what? It's right on your person. That's a pass. It's not on body, but it's right here. This is, I believe, discontinued by 511. It's the banger. It's a 4-banger pouch. So 1, 2, 3, 4 AR-15 max plus pistol provisions. It's a great. I wish they hadn't discontinued
with
it.
Molly stuff on
It's
the
awesome.
See,
it looks a little bit militaristic.
When we were talking about lights, and I said I wish we had Molly pouches, this is why.
Right.
Because you have weird little stuff like this that would really integrate it well.
I hear you. Patches at nutnfancybigcartel.com. We have some new ones coming, I think. Stay tuned. Can't promise. It just depends. We just don't know if we want to order 20,000 of them. Okay, if it's on your person, A-okay. And I showed you in L-Pack and H-Pack, I'm doing that. Right? I showed you like my messenger bags. And I showed you some really cool ones because it gave, and that was when I was healing from my shoulder surgery. It worked good for me then. But I had it on my person. If it's on your person, it counts. Choose a holster system that works for you. Ankle carry. Guys ask me about ankle carry. Do you use it? The answer is we do have ankle holsters. It's very rare. For me, and this will get into another portion of this discussion, it's more of a backup gun location. So it's on my person. I have a baggy pant leg that conceals it, and maybe I have a Beretta 950 Jetfire 25 auto, a Derringer, or better yet, this gun right here in an ankle holster. That makes a lot more sense. Primary carry? Hell no. I'm not putting on an ankle. I'm speaking from experience. I've done, over 3 decades of concealed carry. I can count on, I used to do it a lot in the 90s, but recently, on one hand, how many times I've done it. And I came away going, that was a good decision.
You can't run away while drawing. That's the downside.
You can't run away while drawing. It's weight in a very critical portion when you're fleeing. So you've got to get that mass, that weight in action as you're supposedly and hopefully running from the encounter. So you don't have to use it. Now, a lot of police officers will wear an ankle backup gun because in a tuffle or in a fight, if it goes to the ground, they can't access it. And maybe their primary weapon was taken from them. Let's talk super quick then, and we just introed it, backup guns. Do you carry a backup gun? And if you do,
body,
what percentage? It's okay. Be totally honest.
Not on body most of the time, but a lot of time when I'm out, I'll have a primary, like a Glock 34 in my bag, in addition to the G26 on my person.
Okay, so you may have a bag.
Yeah,
and
so
then you have a Glock 26.
The 26 is kind of backup in that case.
Interesting. For me, the way I approach it, the answer is no. Not in rule of law. I don't carry a backup gun. And I've said this. Again, I'm not doing this to impress a YouTube audience because I just don't care. This is what I'm carrying right here. Now, if things get spicy and the VPAs get near my neighborhood, this isn't enough. This may be my backup piece. So these two things may be my backup piece and this may be my primary. And I'm just talking on body. So if you're talking off body in the vehicle, dude, I'm like 2 deep, sometimes 3 deep.
Yeah.
Within reach, maybe an AR-15. We've got a major combat handgun, and then I'm carrying a P365. So if you go off body, I'm pretty darn deep. But if you go concealed carry protocol on my person, in rule of law, 1 gun, 1 mag for me. If things change, the VPAs or all this horse shit we've been seeing starts brewing up near where I'm going, that ain't enough. Then I go to high probability for armed conflict. Go watch that video. It's logical. It's just kind of a step. You just step it up. But I always want to be down here. I always would prefer to have 1 subcompact pistol, 1 magazine. That's more than adequate for most situations in rule of law. I'm talking like 99.9%. That's more than adequate. But again, we're reaching uncharted waters. What does the future hold? Is that enough in uncharted waters? No, it may not be. Holster systems. We showed you this. This is a favorite, Galco Classic Light. I could show you. I love Galco. The Miami Classic, love that one. The Jackass rig carries at an angle, awesome. Great way to carry a larger pistol, Glock 20. I carry that way across the body holster. Galco makes some great ones of those. Again, I'll try to put links below, some of our favorites. The thing you're going to find yourself doing, whether you're new to this game or experienced, is you're going to buy a lot of holsters. Is that true?
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
You just have to find out what works for you, and it's going to take you a couple $100 to do it.
I'm still not content.
See, it's just see, he mentioned this one. He wasn't really digging it. What brand is that?
It's some nonsense brand off Amazon.
But it works.
I used to have something that was whatever the companion part to this was.
That's a Glock 26. This is yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Glock 26 magazine carrier. That's for me too. If you're in a hot, sweaty area, this pushes against your skin. It carries well. It conceals pretty good. It retains well, but it's not comfortable. You violated the C word. Comfort. But maybe in your location and the gun you choose, it works for you. You're going to see a lot of comments in this video. You're going to see a lot of stories, war stories about carrying concealed, what guys like. If they're TNPers, they have wisdom. They know. They've been around a long time. Everybody has a story to tell of where they've arrived into their system. This is assuming you're an experienced carry person.
I just want something that locks onto the belt. Locks, not just this. I would love something that secures and sticks on, and then something to lock this into the holster. I want to be able to sprint with this thing bouncing up and down without ever coming out.
Does that not retain that well?
It retains okay.
Seems like it does.
Yeah.
Have you ran with this?
Yeah.
Is it bouncing out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's a problem.
That's
one thing with the Kuziak leather, you're not going to have that problem. That sucker stinks. That sucker sticks. And by the way, they didn't give me these holsters. I bought them with donation money so I could show them to you and recommend them to you. So Kuziak leather. By the way, you'll put an order in for Kuziak leather. They're going to take like multiple weeks to fill it, so just be patient. But look how thin that sucker is. And it's stiff. It's stiff, but it still extracts. I like it. Am I going to say this is the end all? No, it's just where I am now. Just like he's saying, it's like, well, I've used this for 10 years and now all of a sudden I don't want it.
I had been using a thicker leather Galco, but...
But look at his body style. He's not as tall as I am. He's standing on risers right now. This is how tall he is. This is off the riser block.
I'm technically 5'10", supposedly.
And I'm almost 6'3". So you can see him. So you can see this munchkin. He's on the riser blocks. Here's my Glock 26 and a Galco Classic Light. Still has A grip material. This is the one I probably bought in Spokane back in 1997. I forget exactly. That's a great throw-on rig. The only thing is I have to take my shirt off, then I put my shirt on over it, and that takes us the speed of access to your gun.
Especially if you're in uniform, like if your company makes you wear polos.
That's probably not an option for you.
Practice a... It's like
a
1, 2, 3 dance.
A lot of people call it the Superman carry. So if you need your gun, you just boom, break your buttons, get your gun.
Again, polo, no buttons at all.
Okay.
Then that's your work mandated.
Well, maybe that's a whole different discussion of carrying in the workplace. And we actually made a video of that.
Yeah.
Didn't we? We'll go watch that video with TD and I. Did we post that one yet? I thought we did. You were in your scrubs.
Yeah.
Whole different philosophy video. It's been out there for a while, I think. So speed of access. I still say it's better to have a gun even though your access may be slower. So you may be looking at these Galco rigs. They're under a shirt. For instance, they could be under this zip top, and you go, well, that's not fast. True, but I have my damn gun with me. Unlike a lot of y'all. Okay, have your gun. The number one rule of a gunfight is what?
Be armed.
Have your gun. Now, if you can have your gun and speed up your access, all the better. And then most of y'all are using inside the waistband options, and I'm all for it. Outside the waistband options, all for it. Outside the shirt, shoulder holster options, I'm all for it. But you need to make a decision what's right for you. I would prefer you probably carry deep. Once again, in rule of law, no one can see your gun, and then you practice with whatever decision or system you've chosen, but concealment over speed, perhaps. There's some systems that you don't compromise, and we're showing you some. Now, for me, ammo choice or ammo loadout, I showed you what I carry, P365, another 12-round magazine with a from a P365 XL, and then we have these ETS mags. They're 10-rounders for the Glock 43. So sometimes I'll have this. So that's not a ton of rounds, but it's better than what the Glock 43 normally has. But that's in rule of law. Remember, as things get worse and more threatening, I carry more ammo, and I probably carry a more capable combat handgun. And if it gets really crappy, I'll be carrying an AR-15 strapped to my chest. One of these right here. The SIG MCX. That's what I'll be carrying. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It'll be in the car. In fact, right now in my vehicle travels an AR-15, ready to rock and roll with what's happening with the VPAs.
With the big
cars being attacked, people getting dragged out of their cars. Don't be a victim. You're obviously this deep in the video. You agree with this because otherwise you wouldn't have. We're over an hour now. Yeah, we're over an hour now. You wouldn't be sticking around if you didn't agree that you don't want to be a victim. You would have left like in the first 5 minutes. Okay, we talked about gun choices, and briefly, we didn't get super deep into the weeds on gun choice. We're just showing you what we use. As a reminder, Glock 19, P365, Glock 43. By the way, there's some that we don't have right here. It's like a Ruger LC9S. That's an awesome gun. Glock 26 we've shown you. We're just kind of showing you a smattering. That's what the tabletop reviews are for, not this video. So someone may come to this video, well, you need to cover this, cover that. No, watch the tabletop reviews. There's like hundreds of them, and that's where that is put. So I talk about that individual gun. How does it fit into this philosophy of use? And I talk about holsters too. I have holster videos out. We got to press on. Body armor. Do you wear body armor? I don't either. So in rule of law, we're not wearing body armor. The only reason I'm including this is because I've been asked about it through the years. People are like, hey man, I need to wear body armor in my rule of law daily carry. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. That's too much complexity. It's too much weight. It's too much discomfort. There's the D word. I wouldn't do it. I don't do it. If things get spicier, the violent party actors get closer to my realm, and I feel like the need to up armor occurs, then that will change. But now we're not talking about a concealed carry system anymore. Concealed carry system is pretty much rule of law. If I didn't say it before, I'll say it now. It's pretty much rule of law. When we go into without rule of law, if the police ain't doing their darn job, which has happened multiple times in 2020, usually for political reasons, or they're just scared, then it's up to you to provide your own security, your family security. And if it gets to that level where I think I'm really going to be getting rounds, that's not a concealed carry system anymore. That's a without rule of law system, and damn straight I'm wearing body armor. But is that going to guarantee you'll survive?
There's a lot of meat. A lot of meat surrounding that little, 8 by 14 square plate.
If you're lucky.
They're pretty damn
Let's
small.
say it's 10 by 12. So you got a 10 by 12, level 4, let's say. Let's say you really went up. Look at all that's exposed. Head, shoulder, arms, guts, ball sack. Survive, you'll be good to go, right? No?
You get some pretty intense medical care, maybe. But how do you know the hospital's around?
Again, we're making a point. We're kind of being facetious a little bit to make the point that in rule of law, it's not going to guarantee that you won't take rounds body armor. We don't do it, and that's what this video is about. What we actually do, we don't wear body armor. And without rule of law, we would, but that's not going to protect you for sure. Better than nothing. I still say do it, but you ain't covering everything up. You can still take it. Okay, 8. Concealed carry protocol. The practical side, the Nutnfancy project says, by gosh, you've got to train, practice. If you decided that you're going to carry a pistol, that's generally what it is, unless, I don't know, do you have a flamethrower?
I wish.
That'd be cool, but that'd be even more expensive training. No, you're going to practice with a handgun of choice. Now, here's the deal. When we're filming this, there ain't no ammo to be had. Tactical Doodle.
I have people routinely offering to buy it from me.
Really? Like, hey man, do you got any 9mm? Yeah. It's kind of desperate out there as we're filming this, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. Because it looks like Biden's the next president. The leftists are surging in their power. They hate guns. They hate you as a gun owner. They think you're a piece of garbage to be controlled and punished, by the way. That's more in part 2. And that leads people to, if not panic, suddenly get motivated to buy ammo. If you go to all the gun stores around us, there ain't no 9mm, there ain't no 5.56, there ain't no 380. There's some 22, but that may have changed because I haven't gone to a gun store for a week.
I haven't seen 22 either.
So how are you going to train? Are you going to shoot what little stash you have? Hopefully you don't have a little stash. Hopefully you have per pistol minimum 2,000 rounds, says the Nutnfancy project. But even if you have 2,000 rounds, do you want to go out and shoot that? Let's say, hey, I'm going to go train every month, and every month I'm going to shoot 200 rounds. Guess what? And we're going to be honest with this. It ain't going to happen. And that's of course, this FMJ versus hollow point. When I carry defensively, when he carries defensively, we're carrying hollow points. But I don't think even FMJ's full metal jacket rounds, people are willing to part with that readily. So how do you train? The answer is you're going to dry fire first and foremost. You're going to get to a safe location at your range, in your basement with a good backdrop. You're going to double, triple check your gun is empty, and you're going to practice dry firing. You're going to practice your trigger pull, your sight alignment, your grip. You're going to draw. You're going to get that muscle memory down. You're going to practice with that holster you've chosen. Shoulder holster, inside the waistband, appendix carry. If you choose to do an ankle holster, practice with that. You'd be amazed how much proficiency you can gain with dry firing. Is that true, Tactical Doodle? He does it all the time.
Just doing the fundamentals.
Do the fundamentals. Now, below we're going to put some links to some great training systems too. One of them that we have is called a laser light trainer. It's just over $200, and it's a blue pistol. It clicks, it shoots a harmless beam of light, and it knocks over or at least registers on targets. I wish I had it to show you. Yes, we do have one, but he stole it from me. It's down in Arizona.
I've got it set up next to my treadmill, so it's a shooting gallery.
So while you're on the treadmill, you're shooting. There you go. It's got some cardio, getting an elevated heart rate, which you've seen in TNP forever in our running guns. You practice. Another one is by a company called Laser. What is it?
Laser light?
No, Laser Ammo. Laser Ammo ATP. It's a gas blowback trainer. I have no experience with that one. But they look intriguing. So you get a recoil sensation. It shoots a beam of light. You can see where you're hitting, I think. Also BB guns. Just CO2 powered BB guns that are in the same form factor as your gun. You can buy ones. If you have a P320, you can buy a P320 BB gun. Train with that.
I've heard good things about SIGs. Supposedly departments have been buying them to train with too.
Yeah. So if you have a Glock 17, you can find a Glock 17 BB pistol and train with that. Again, you're seeing a buttload of links below. Use them to support us. We get like 2 cents per click. We'll go buy a hamburger. But that is something, and something is better than nothing. If you could, you would shoot live ammunition of the caliber of choice. For instance, if you had a Glock 20, go out and shoot 200 rounds in a session of Glock 20. That's a lot of practice. And again, go watch our drills, our run and gun videos. We may make some more in the future about certain scenarios, how you can train. Basically, don't waste time at 25 yards. Don't waste time at 15 yards. You want to be at 7 yards and inside when you train. I'm not saying you shouldn't be proficient at making those longer shots. You should. But chances are it's going to be from me to him when you employ your handgun. It's going to be close. That's where you want to practice. Inside close, quick, pop, pop, pop. Have your dude blow a whistle like you've seen in TNP for over a decade. Elevate the stress, yell if you want. You can do this in an indoor range. Practice. You can do that with your BB gun. So let's say you have a P320 and you get a SIG P320 BB gun. You can do the same thing. Set your paper up. You can do this in your house. Just hang a sheet. Hang a sheet to catch the stray BBs that won't ricochet. Train in your house. Draw from your holster. Guess what? That P320 or whatever gun you choose might fit in your holster system too. Draw. Click, click, click. Train though. Don't go down the concealed carry road and just be lazy like so many carry people do. They make the decision to carry. Some do carry with high percentage, and lo and behold, they aren't proficient. Is that you?
I'd like to think no, but I don't shoot nearly enough as I want to.
Are you dry firing?
Yeah.
Do you have a training device that you're using? You got the laser light?
Yeah.
He's doing what he can. He's doing what he can. And that's the best you can do. But with a shortage of ammo, the expensive ammunition, this is going to be the standard for some time to come. And if they make these guns illegal, now what do? And you choose to retain your gun, you're like, screw that. I'm not registering. I'm going to keep my gun. And by the way, I would say from my polling, 82% would fall into that category. They're like, screw you.
I heard even in New Zealand when they demanded all center fires be confiscated and turned in, not even, I think 5% turned them in.
There you go. And that'll be you. So, but what do you do for training now? Where can you go? You're putting your freedom at risk if you go out there in the middle of nowhere. Let's say you have a patch of woods there in Tennessee and you go start training with your Glock, and lo and behold, this is assuming in the future when guns are illegal, you get busted. So the stuff we're talking about now is really important. Dry firing, training analog, like a BB gun, airsoft. Airsoft is better than nothing, and it's some type of projectile or light firing device. Train. Be good at it, and if you can, get your heart rate up. Number 9, guys ask me all the time, hey, should I have carry insurance? My answer is yes, if you can afford it. You guys got a lot of bills rolling in already. You know this. You got gas, you got electricity, you got medical bills, you got food, you got ammo purchases, you got gun purchases. Holy cow, Nutnfancy just reviewed another awesome flashlight that I want, another special edition knife that I want. There's a lot of expenses rolling in. If you can fit it in, I do recommend carry insurance. And the one I do recommend is USCCA. And that's the one I carry. Because, kind of getting into part 2, the political side, if you make a shot in defense of your life, defense of your wife's life or your children's, you will be considered a bad guy, right? And if I have carry insurance, I'm going to say exactly what's on that card. In other words, it's not much. I feared for my life. Talk to my lawyers. That's basically all you're going to say. You don't say anything that can be used against you. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, they're not on your side.
Everything you say will be used against you. Remember, cops are not on your side. The DA is not on your side. The judge isn't on your side. You need to have a very tight, airtight case of why you made that shot, and you need to prepare a legal defense. You may be blabbering to ruin that. Don't say anything.
But he was so nice. He seemed so understanding.
They're going to try to disarm you. They're
He
going
promised me
to,
it would
the buddy
be
game.
fine.
Hey, man, I can see what you said. So cops play all kinds of games. Just say, be polite, be professionals. Like, you can talk with my lawyer. I was in fear of my life. Yeah. So USCCA has a card, and I didn't bring it, but it just says, this is what you say. After that, call us. And then we take it from there. So it's carry insurance. Yeah, I recommend carry insurance. If I can find it, I'll put a link below. Have carry insurance. It's another bill. It ain't perfect. I ain't going to say, hey, man, I got carry insurance. I can go out and do whatever I want now. I can be confrontational with people because if I get in trouble, I'll just call this number. No.
Yeah.
No, it ain't guarantee you ain't going to get charged. It's just better than nothing. It's a safety net where before you didn't have any safety net. It was you, your estate, your job, getting attacked by probably leftist lawyers and perhaps a left-leaning judge that hates gun owners. And this is rampant. Remember, the zeitgeist of the day, and again, in part 2, we may address this, is that you're garbage. You're one of these conservatives with a gun. You're the reason this country's so racist, they will say. What did that race didn't have anything to do about it? Remember, upside down and right. It's just they're going to throw everything they can at you to see what sticks to put you in jail, take your freedom away, and make you a felon. Carry insurance, yes. Have it. It's expensive. It's another cost, but man, it's a peace of mind. That if something goes down, put it in your phone, have your carry number in your phone, and that's the first phone call you make. Hey man, I was in a defensive encounter. These are the facts as I know them. I would like your help in this. Roger that. We've got a lawyer en route. Don't say anything, and we'll talk to you about it. We'll get all the details. We'll sort everything out. And then there's a discussion we've had in past years of be the first one to make the phone call. Because oftentimes a bad guy has a confrontation. He shoots first, and then he calls first and acts like he was the victim, right? That's another discussion. Have your phone with you every time you carry. And make sure you dial it if and when you have to make a shot, and don't be blabbery about it. Don't say, oh, this and that. And that. No. Say, listen, I'm here. I feared for my life, and please send police to this location. It was a self-defense encounter. Have carry insurance. And lo and behold, we're at the end of the video. Holy cow, 1:15. That's about what we thought it'd go. There's more stuff we could throw in here for sure. Tune into part 2. That will be the political side of the concealed carry protocol. We will rant a fair amount in that video, if we haven't already, about the current state of affairs, which are aligned against gun owners. It will get much worse. You are considered public enemy number 1 in a progressive communist culture. Am I right on that? Yeah, it's like, dude, you can do no right. They absolutely want to disarm their enemies, as TD told me tonight. It's like, they don't care about guns. They just want to disarm people who are opposing them, and that would be you, a constitutionally minded conservative that believes in God, country, family,
that believes in anything.
Morals.
You may notice if you look at the whatever.
Tell him. Go.
It's too late.
I want to turn him loose in part 2 and just have him go on his rants. He's holding back. He's holding back, and I just want to release the Mustangs and let you go. Anywho, there you go. That's a concealed carry protocol. Whether it was complete or not, it's information. And hopefully it was fun. Time passed quickly, and maybe you learned something. And maybe you feel like you're not alone out there in your approach to deciding to carry a gun day in, day out with high percentage. Thank you. Good Americans, constitutionally minded Americans should be armed. Our final statement in this is not a governmental right. This isn't bestowed upon you by the government. It's given to you by your God, by your maker. The right of self-defense is given to you by God. So a government cannot roll in and say you cannot carry a gun. They cannot take that right away from you. And there's some commenters in years past that have said, you know what? I can carry a gun regardless of what the law says because it's a natural right, and I'm in agreement with that.
Animals are allowed to fight back.
Yeah. But that's not what the progressives say. That's not what the communists say. And so what do we say? This. Yeah, that's our parting statement. Carry safe, train, have something fun that works for you. It's a peace of mind to have the correct gun on your person. It's even a better feeling to know if you're trained with it, it's comfortable, and you're ready to use it mentally, and your muscle training's there too.
And wear shoes you can run in.
Oh, good point.
It used to infuriate me when we're going downtown. Yeah. Let me get my heels.
Yeah. Because remember, we said it at the outset, run away if you can. Avoid if you can. And this is in rule of law. If you have options and they don't require you using your gun, as we've said and emphasized over and over again, book it.
Book it.
Get out of there. There you go. Be part of our donation community. Come back and see us again in the bunker on Tabletop. Man, we have a lot of content. It's like 4 times the amount on our Patreon feed right now. You should be a member. Over and out. Lieutenant Colonel Nutnfancy, Tactical Doodle, signing off.